Welcome to a very special bonus episode of What Do You Say with DDJ. As always, I'm your host, DDJ. This episode was originally slated to be my 7th episode, but because of some of the things that were talked about during the interview, there's a little bit of a sense of urgency on my part. I felt the need to get this out so what was said wouldn't be considered outdated. So, my guest for this very special bonus episode is the American Outlaw Tyler Bodine. Sit back, relax, and enjoy my interview with Tyler Bodine. And please ignore the reference to episode 7 at the beginning of the interview because, again, that was my original plan for this episode. Welcome to episode 7 of What Do You Say with DDJ. As always, I am DDJ, and with me tonight, I have the American Outlaw, Tyler Bodine. Tyler, thanks for joining me tonight. How are you doing?
Great, man. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. So let's get right into it. Tell the audience a little bit about Tyler Bodine, who he is, and who the man behind Tyler Bodine is.
Yeah, not a problem. So, 28 years old, still fairly young in the business. I've only been wrestling for 6.5 years. I was trained by Mustafa Ali, the same guy.
Right.
Same guy you see on TV every Monday night. I've been traveling all over the Midwest. I've wrestled in Minnesota, Nebraska, Iowa, Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois, Missouri, Michigan. I've been all over the Midwest traveling. Training was extremely rough. It was a very long 6 months. Mustafa Ali maybe just a little quick guy, but he's tough as nails though too.
That's awesome. So are you from the Illinois area, or did you come here from elsewhere?
I'm from Laredo, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's it. So who got you in? Who introduced you to the world of professional wrestling?
Actually, my uncle did. My uncle grew up watching wrestling. He watched back when they had Saturday Night Main Event, like every Saturday. He would they'd go to church and then they'd come home and watch wrestling. That was back in the 60s and 70s, though. So it was a while ago, but yeah, he got me into wrestling, and it's a passion of mine. I love doing it, and when I first saw it, I'm like, that's what I want to do. That's all I want to do.
Awesome. And so growing up down in Texas, where I'm assuming you watched a lot of World Class?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And what other promotions did you have access to down there?
Dory and Terry Funk were pretty popular down here. But I moved to Illinois when I was fairly young, so I didn't see a whole lot of promotions down there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So when you moved up to Illinois, what did you watch? What promotions did you watch?
Just like the local indie shows, there was RCW in LaSalle, Illinois, and that was the only show that I really went to because it was right by me, and of course, I had to have somebody transport me, so that's the only place that I went.
Okay, all right. And who were some of like your early favorites that when you first started watching wrestling?
Oh, I've always been a fan of Stan Hansen and Hulk Hogan.
Okay, and what would you say? What about those two guys kind of drew you to them?
I have kind of because when I get in the ring, I have that badass mentality, and that's straight out of that. I learned that straight from Stan Hansen. I mean, he don't give a damn. He's coming in, busting skulls, beating people up, and going home. And that's what I like about Stan Hansen. Now, Hulk Hogan, on the other side, I like his persona. He's the American hero. And that's what I liked about him.
Okay. So when did you decide? Obviously, I know you said when you first started watching wrestling, it's like that's when what you wanted to do. But when did it go from something you wanted to do that's something that you were going to do?
It didn't take very long at all. I immediately started looking for wrestling schools, and literally, I went to a Dreamwave wrestling show, which RCW turned into Dreamwave Wrestling, and it just so happened that Mustafa Ali was wrestling for them, and he was retiring at the time to go be a police officer in Bolingbrook, Illinois, but he was also going to be doing this training on the side. So, and the price was right, and I paid my money, and the rest is history, pretty much.
Cool. And you said Mustafa Ali was your trainer. A lot of my audience and a lot of wrestling fans out there know him from being on 205 Live and SmackDown. I believe he's currently on the Raw roster right now. But you obviously, I'm sorry, go ahead.
He got switched back and forth between Raw and SmackDown a couple weeks.
Right. So obviously, you know the man behind, Mustafa Ali a lot better than most of us fans do. So tell us about what he is like behind the scenes.
Well, I mean, out of respect for him, I'm not going to share too much, just out of respect for him.
Oh, understandable.
He's truly a great guy behind the scenes. He's a very respectful guy. He demands respect, and he gets respect. But other than that, he's a very humble guy and a very good guy.
Cool. And what would you say in terms of like advice that he gave you? What would you say was the best piece of advice that he gave you?
A lot of people ask me that question. The best piece of advice that he ever gave me that I still use to this day: eyes and ears open, mouth shut. You watch other people. You learn from other people. You listen to the veterans critique your match, but you keep your mouth shut. You listen to what the veterans had to say. You watch the veterans in the match. You can learn from them. So it's eyes and ears open and mouth shut.
That's a pretty good lesson to have, especially in the world of wrestling.
Yep.
What did your family, like your mom and dad, think about your decision to become a pro wrestler?
They were not for it at all. They did not want me to do it at all. Nowadays, though, they're calling me. Well, my dad doesn't really. We don't really have contact with each other, but my mom calls me every week and asks me, "Hey, where are you wrestling at this weekend, or where are you wrestling at this weekend?" So she's more now that she sees how big of a passion it is for me. 6.5 years later, she's more understanding. But at first, she wasn't for it at all.
Gotcha. Now, besides Mustafa Ali, did you have anybody else that trained you, or was it just strictly him?
I did a little training with Tracy Smothers.
Oh, I love Tracy Smothers.
Tracy's a good dude.
Yeah.
I've done seminars with Jonathan Gresham.
Mm-hmm.
Seminars with Barry Windham and J.J. Dillon. Those are great guys. Barry gave me was really cool to learn from, because he was always a big guy in professional wrestling, and I'm a big guy.
Right.
So I kind of keyed on him and learned a lot from him.
Okay. Now, the same question I asked you about Ali, I'll ask you about Barry. What was the best piece of advice he gave you?
Just do big guy stuff, which basically means don't try flying off the top rope. Don't try doing moonsaults, and just do big guy stuff.
Okay. And so tell the audience a little bit about some of the promotions that you've worked for in the past, where they might have seen you in the past.
Oh, wow. I'm not very good at math, so it's hard to count all the promotions I've worked for.
Just give a few, or some of the, just whatever comes to mind.
So my home company is Rocket Pro Wrestling in Joliet, Illinois.
Okay.
They're actually shut down right now due to COVID, but this Saturday they're doing a Facebook Live match. It's going to be me versus Rico Flash Paisley in a bull rope match for the Intercounty Championship. That's going to be Facebook Live. That's the first time I've ever gone Facebook Live. And of course, the restrictions in Illinois right now, fans aren't allowed to be in attendance, so that's why they're doing Facebook Live. I also that's at 10 a.m. Saturday morning, and then I drive 4 hours south down by St. Louis to wrestle for Illinois Elite Wrestling. It's their first show. Excuse me. They're doing an outside show, so they are allowed to have fans.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sunday I wrestle for Powerhouse Wrestling Extreme for the Tag Team Championships. I wrestled for Primitive Pro Wrestling. That's another company I wrestle for. That's in Bedford, Indiana. I wrestled for Championship International Wrestling. That's in Hudson, Michigan. I wrestled for Funky Monkey Wrestling in Sterling, Illinois. Obviously, I got my start with Dreamwave Wrestling in LaSalle, Illinois. I wrestled for MWA Wrestling. They run shows all over the Midwest. They run shows in Wisconsin, Nebraska, Indiana, Iowa, Missouri, all over. So, I mean, I've wrestled for a lot of them. It's hard to keep track of them all.
No, that's cool, man. You named quite a few there and stuff. And if you could, like, maybe talk about like one or two of like your best matches you've had so far. Who were they against, and why do you hold them in such high regard?
So I had a match a few weeks back against a guy by the name of Big Bad Wolf Ace Evans in Hudson, Michigan. And him and we've wanted to wrestle each other for quite some time. And basically it was just a hard-hitting match. He's a little smaller than I, but he's been in the business for over 10 years, and it was a really good match against him. I wrestled a guy by the name of Wildman Beast in the past. He's a WCW vet, actually. He was in WCW. Him and I always had a good match. There's been a lot of I take stuff from all my matches, some good, some not so good, but every match I have, I learned something new.
Okay. So what would you say is like, where do you what is something that you hope to accomplish, let's say within the next year or so, assuming things eventually get back to normal with this whole pandemic?
I'd love to wrestle on TV, whether that's for AEW, WWE, or an indie company that's filmed for TV. I would love to wrestle on TV.
All right. And okay, so tell me a little bit more about what you like to do outside of the world of wrestling, because I'm always a big fan of getting to know the people behind the characters. Like, what do you do for like, what are your hobbies? What are you into? That kind of stuff.
Well, believe it or not, my shoot job is what we call when we're not wrestling. I'm actually I work for I work through the Department of Child and Family Services. I'm a child welfare caseworker. So a lot of people are surprised when they hear that, because I beat people up on the weekends and I save kids during the week. So, but no, I like to play basketball. I like to fish. Fishing is my biggest thing. I like to shoot guns, but definitely when I haven't gone fishing as much as I would like, but I love fishing. I have like hanging out with my dogs, my girlfriend.
Okay, so you said you like basketball. Who's your favorite basketball player of all time?
Michael Jordan, man.
Good answer. Michael
Jordan. There will never be another one like him.
Nope. Do you think there's anybody out there that's come close to unseating Michael Jordan as the greatest?
I hate to say this, but LeBron James.
That'd be how I'd answer that too.
I can't stand LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
It's not denying that he's good.
Okay, so now you said you like to shoot guns and stuff. I don't obviously know a whole lot about guns other than the ones that came with like the Nintendo system and all that stuff and that. But what is like in terms of guns? Like what's your favorite one to shoot? And then is there also a gun like if you could shoot any gun in the world if that was created over time, past history, whatever, what would it be and why?
Actually, don't know. I actually don't own any guns. I got 3 watchdogs for that, so I don't need a gun. Come in my house and you get past the dogs, I'm just gonna break your neck. So, but I like shooting I like shooting 9mm and 45s. I'm gonna try to. I want to eventually get my concealed carry, but that's down the road. So.
Okay. Now, what kind of dogs do you have?
I have a German Shepherd, an Australian Shepherd, and a Boxer.
Okay. Very cool. Yeah, I'm a bit of a dog person. My wife loves dogs and stuff, so that's pretty cool.
So, yeah. And no, we never have any issues with people trying to break into our house.
Oh yeah, no, I totally can. With those types of dogs, I could see why. I remember one time years ago, my brother. I used to live with my brother, and he used to have a Rottweiler, and I think he came home one day from work, and I was working, and he called me and said, "Did you leave the door unlocked or something like that?" And I was like, "No." And come to find out, we think somebody tried breaking into our house, and they saw the dog and just took off because nothing was missing. So.
Yeah, I can't say I blame them. Rottweilers are not a dog you want to mess with.
No, they're not. But if you treat them right, they're the sweetest. They can be the sweetest dogs ever. So, but that's how pit bulls are too, man. A lot of people give them a bad rap, but I've been around some of the nicest pit bulls in the world. Right. So trying to think here. What else? So tell me a little bit more about, you said does this company that you're wrestling for, I think it's the one on Sunday that's doing the outdoor show, or is that the one that's Saturday night?
There's one Saturday night and one Sunday.
Okay. So what are, you said they were, the one show that I think you were doing Saturday night, that was the one that was outdoors, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what kind of safety measures do they have in place for the show, obviously, other than besides being outside?
Everybody's temperatures will be taken. There's going to be masks provided. If you're not with your family, will be seated 6 feet apart from each other. So still practicing social distancing. But those are the 3 steps that we'll be taking.
Gotcha. Very cool. And then what are pretty much the same things for the show that you're performing at on Sunday?
Correct. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So tell me a little bit more about like I know you mentioned a little bit of fishing earlier and things like that. Now are you more of like you like going for like the big sport fish, or is more just like going to like say just the local lake or river, just plopping in a chair and just Yeah,
that's me. I don't go get into competition, man. I just go to the local river or lake and just get my chair out and cast out my pole and just sit and relax, man.
Gotcha. Very cool. So, going back to a little bit of wrestling chat here.
Sure.
Is there any? Do you follow the current product? Like, do you watch WWE? Do you watch AEW?
I do.
And what are some of the things you like about today's product, and what are some of the things that I'm going to quote Bully Ray for when he always says I'm busted open. If you had the pencil, what would be some of the things that you would change about today, the current product that's being put out by, both WWE and AEW?
Product is too family friendly, in my opinion. Now I'm all for family friendly, but I like edgier product. Like I like the Attitude Era. I want the Attitude Era to come back. But what I do like about the current era is more so in AEW that they're giving these indie guys a chance to be seen on television all over the world.
Okay. Now, who are some of like your the guys that you like right now? Who are some of your current faves?
I like that Orange Cassidy from his gimmick is like just regular old dude walks the ring and But I mean, once the bell rings, he's just a whole different person. As far as WWE goes, I've always been a Rey Mysterio guy. I don't really like any of the new school, so to say. I'm still old school with Rey Mysterio.
Okay. So you mentioned Rey Mysterio. What are your how do you think Dominic has done so far?
Dominic should not be where he's at. There's so many other guys deserving of. The only reason Dominic is getting the opportunities he's getting is because of his dad. Now, don't get me wrong, the kid's good. I'll give him that. He's not as good as his dad, but there are so many other guys in that locker room more deserving to be in Dominic's spot than Dominic.
I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, I think he's far surpassed what anything I thought he would be, at this point in time. But I agree, that it shouldn't have been at the expense of a lot of people. And I think he's even made mention of that he I don't think he was like too comfortable with that, or just like, I think he felt, but I mean, he was kind of like thrust into this. And I mean, I think he's done the best he's could, so, with what he's given. So one of the things that, and I've asked this question to a couple of the other guests I've had on this show. One of the big things that WWE is often criticized for is their lack of their perception that they don't seem to be interested in making new stars. How important do you think it is that for the business, not just WWE, but just in general, to constantly, to be constantly creating new stars versus always relying on the same, 3, 4, 5 people, for years on end?
I think it's huge. I mean, I'm not really happy with what they did with Keith Lee. I mean, the guy was phenomenal in NXT, and they brought him up, and now he's jobbing to Randy Orton, which that's not a bad thing. Randy Orton's a hell of an athlete, but I mean, if you're going to have your main star and bring him up from NXT, I mean, at least do something with him. But that's Vince McMahon's old senile ass, and so
Gotcha. So let's get right to it. Because I think I've pretty much exhausted all the questions I have for you and stuff.
No problem.
What would you? So I'm going to give you the floor. Take as much time as you want. Talk about where people can reach you. Talk about how people can buy your merchandise. Just basically use this to get yourself over right now.
Sure. So as Dennis said at the beginning, I'm the American Outlaw Tyler Bodine from Laredo, Texas. Badass. I come to the ring, I beat people up, and I go home. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I don't have a pro wrestling tee site because they screwed me over and wouldn't let me use my design that I had. So I said screw it, and I just go with the guy that made my design for me. But if you do want a T-shirt, I am taking pre-orders, which you can ask anybody I've sold T-shirts for. I'm a trustworthy guy. You send me the money, I order the shirt. As soon as it comes in, I'll send it to you. I also have Tyler Bodine baseball cards for sale, 4 different kinds. I have magnets, I have stickers, keychains, bookmarks, coloring books. I have a WWE package, which includes 3 WWE magazines and 4 WWE posters. Some are signed. It's $10. Just trying to get rid of them, trying to clear out my clutter. That's pretty much my gist of. I have PayPal, I have Cash App, so or you can send me a money order.
Gotcha. How can people reach you on, say, like Facebook, Twitter?
That's good. So Facebook, I'm just Tyler Bodine. I can't remember my Twitter handle, so let me look that up real fast.
No problem.
So my Twitter handle is Tyler _Bodine _pro _wrestler. That's my Twitter handle. Instagram is just Tyler _ Bodine _ pro _ wrestler. So everything's just Tyler Bodine. If you type in Tyler Bodine, I'm sure it'll come up. I also have a YouTube channel. It's the American Outlaw Tyler Bodine. I think I have like 20 to 30 of my matches up there.
Okay. Very cool. So, alrighty then. Well, Tyler, I want to thank you for your time this evening. I had a lot of fun. Best of luck to you with your performances this weekend, and we'll look forward to maybe seeing you at an indie show sometime.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me, Dennis.
Awesome.
Have a good night, buddy.
Thanks, you too. Thanks again to Tyler Bodine for taking time out of his night to sit and talk with me. If you'd like to support him, you can reach out to him via Twitter or on Facebook and get some of his merch. He's got, like I said, he's got everything from stickers to coloring books to t-shirts. Definitely, I know he would appreciate it, and I would too. There are still plans for me to release an episode on Monday, pending my guest that will come through. And I look forward to presenting episode 7, the real episode 7 of What Do You Say with DDJ to you. And as always, thanks for listening.